When you think of natural, sustainable living, what comes to mind? Perhaps it's serene moments in nature, a nice cup of coffee, watching the sunrise, or strolling through the forest. Those are all nice activities. But then the reality of your day-to-day life comes to mind. When it comes to your food, your work, leisure, and the products that you consume, what does that entail? If you're like many in our society, it might conjure up images of what you need to make natural living a reality. According to the internet, this would probably include a compostable toothbrush and floss, reusable dish rags, and canvas shopping bags. Simple enough, right? But then it gets more complicated and expensive. Keep going down the natural living rabbit hole and you'll find ever-increasing purchases. Organic, fair trade, vegan food, smart thermostats, solar panels, an expensive electric vehicle, a house in the country, away from higher paying jobs that would probably help afford that house in the country. All of this consumption can make natural living feel unattainable, as if there's this huge starter kit necessary before you have to begin this journey. It can be overwhelming to think that you have to ditch everything you currently have in order to purchase a bunch of new, natural, green, sustainable products if you want to live a slower, more natural lifestyle. But I'm here to show you how you can live naturally, starting right now without spending a dime. So in this video, I'm going to share 5 ways that you can start living naturally today without spending a dime, swiping your card, or increasing your debt. Let's get to it. The first tip is to use what you already have. The problem is if you throw out what you already have, you're just immediately contributing to more waste, more junk in landfills, more stuff being made for the purchase of consumption, and that in itself isn't really natural. It's better to use up what you currently have than to just go buy a bunch of new products right off the bat. This is where that old phrase, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without, comes into play here. Eventually you are going to have to purchase new products, and when you do, yeah, they probably should be more natural, green, or eco-friendly. But in the meantime, we have to use what we have until we literally can't use it anymore, even if it means repurposing it for a new life. This could be a t-shirt that's really ratty and you no longer wear, and it turns into a dish rag. Or perhaps you have like plastic yogurt cups or milk cartons that you can fill with soil and start some seeds in them for your garden this spring. The idea here is to get creative and don't feel the pressure to go buy a bunch of stuff if you want to hit that like slow, natural living aesthetic. Just start with where you're at with what you have and give it the longest possible life that you can. Number 2 is to reconnect with nature. As kids, if you were like me, you probably played outside all the time. I would get home, run around barefoot with my friends until the sun went down, and then my parents would call me in for dinner. And then if I was lucky, I would go back out and look at the stars. Like, it was just good, free fun because we were connected with nature, really living the way we were supposed to. As adults though, it's kind of weird. If I were to run around barefoot in the park, I would get suspicious glances. But if I were to spend $100 to go to Dave & Buster's and play a bunch of energy intensive games and have my fun capitalized as an adult by a corporation, well, that's just a normal Friday night for a working man. The idea that our fun and activities have to be capitalized is absurd. And this is where reconnecting with nature not only helps us live more naturally, duh, but it's also free. We don't have to spend money to do this. There's some really simple activities you can do to increase your connection with nature and start living that natural lifestyle without spending any money. This could include starting to identify trees or birds in your area. Maybe you can pick up a guidebook from a library, or there's the Seek app if you have a smartphone that identifies plants, and the Merlin app which identifies birds through their sounds and appearance. You could also take note of the sunrise and sunset each day. I also just posted a video on this really powerful, simple practice that will help you reconnect with nature. I'll definitely give that a watch and try that out too. The next way you can live more naturally without spending a dime is to produce your own food. Now, this may sound intimidating at first if you have never done it, but it is something that is actually pretty accessible if you put a little effort in. The first way is to find easy to identify foods around your area to forage. This could be raspberries, which are unmistakable, or dandelions, which we see everywhere. It could be acorns or hickory nuts, or even the early stages of garlic mustard. Once you know what these look like and how to find them, you're gonna see them everywhere. And even if it's just a little salad garnish, it's a nice way to connect with your local landscape for free. You could also start a garden. Now you may be thinking, wait, aren't there some startup costs to this? Well, a guy named Hugh Richards made this book called How to Grow Food for Free. I will link to that in the description. It's got a bunch of great resources. If you can find it at your local library, I highly recommend it. But there are ways you could start a garden and growing food without spending any money. Perhaps your library has seed share programs or seed packets. My aunt's does, and we got a bunch of seeds from there, which was really cool. You could go to a seed swap event in your town, or if you know someone nearby who has a garden, ask if they need help. Volunteer to set it up. Barter your work for maybe some plants or seeds. Then you can start growing things on your own, reconnect with nature in a powerful way, and you're not breaking the bank to do it. The fourth way you can live more naturally today without spending any money is to embrace human-powered transportation. Over 50% of car trips in the United States are less than 3 miles. You could walk that distance in an hour or bike it in 15 to 20 minutes. And then if you do that, you're burning calories, not money. Here's the thing, you're still going to have to drive, especially if you live in most places in the United States. But even if you have like an SUV and not an electric vehicle, it's probably more natural to just go at a slower pace and walk or bike around than it is to ditch your SUV and then have all the resources used to make a new electric vehicle for you to purchase when you don't necessarily need it. By slowing down and embracing human-powered transportation, we end up reconnecting with our local landscape. You're more likely to see people at a slower pace. You could say hi, you can form a little bit of a community. It's an amazing way to embrace natural living. And like I said, it's free. You may live in an area where it's not safe to walk or bike. I understand that. However, if you could take public transportation or even carpool where possible. The point is, move yourself or combine trips as often as you can. This not only saves you money, but it allows you to live that slower, more natural pace of life. The last way you can live more naturally without spending any money is to delight in simplicity. As humans, we are inherently restless. We struggle to sit alone in a room with our thoughts, and we try to fill that restlessness or subdue it with purchases and consumption, whether it's things or information or experiences. Here's the thing though, consumption costs money, whereas delight is free. Delighting in the simple joy of being and being surrounded by nature doesn't cost anything and makes life so much more enjoyable. You can go read a book at the library, take a nice long walk by yourself or with a loved one, go look at the stars on a clear night or marvel at the sunrise or sunset. If we're discontent with our existence, instead of doing those activities, we'll try to fill that void with technology or productivity or achievement or consumption. But to live naturally and slowly, we have to delight in the simple beauty that the earth provides us and that is available to us at all times. If you can't do that, it doesn't matter how far the range on your electric vehicle battery is, or how efficient your smart thermostat is at home, or how many kilowatts your solar panels produce. You will continue to tie yourself to a fast-paced technological machine, and you won't be able to escape. So there you have it, guys. If you're looking for a more natural, slow, simple way of life that doesn't cost any money, start by using what you have instead of buying a bunch of new products. Find simple ways to reconnect with nature. Enjoy the challenge of producing or gathering your own food. Embrace the joys of human-powered transportation. And finally, most importantly, delight in the simple beauty that we have here on Earth. If you guys do these 5 things, you're gonna experience all the benefits that a slow, natural lifestyle creates. Less stress, less anxiety, less striving, and more peace, happiness, and joy. And I would love for you to have that. As someone who was all in on the fast-paced, tech-fueled world of convenience and has since stepped out of that, I promise you the grass is greener on this side of the field. If you found this video helpful and you want to learn more about slow, natural, and sustainable ways of living so you can be empowered to heal from burnout, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. I also have a free Substack you can sign up for where I write really deep philosophical articles on this topic. And if you're interested in my experience about living the slow and strenuous life in our fast-paced world of convenience, consider checking out my book, Slow and Strenuous. I will link to all of this down in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate your time and attention. I'll see you in the next video.